Good morning, everybody. And this is Ben Greer speaking, the Associate Director for Adult Education at ICCB, Program Support Specialist for Regions 1 and 3. And I'd like to welcome you to our October monthly regional meeting. One little glitch here.
And is your slide not advancing?
It's not advancing.
So click your mouse on the slide and then it'll advance.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Also joining me on the webinar is Jim Flaherty, Associate Director for Adult Education at ICCB, Program Support Specialist for Regions 1, 2, and 4. We have a full agenda today, and because of that, we may be going over a bit beyond our 45 minutes. So we might go to a full hour. If anyone cannot stay as long, this session is being recorded, so you can listen to the recording once the session is over. Also, the presenters can respond to questions throughout this webinar. Please type any questions in the question box and hit send. If you need technical assistance during this presentation, contact Ty Jorns by the chat box or by phone at 217-785-0144. Got a couple of reminders for you. Well, not just a couple, but a few reminders for you. There is a mandatory administrators meeting next month prior to the ALRC Northern Conference, and it will take place on Thursday, the 29th of November, starting at 1 o'clock until 4 at the Westin Chicago Northwest Hotel, 400 Park Boulevard, Itasca, Illinois. Now, understand that Region 1 is going to have an APC meeting prior to that. Details will be coming out about that shortly. And this is, as I mentioned last month, for this month, there are being the beginning of the second quarter and our last quarter, our first quarter ended September 30th. There's 3 reports that will be due by October 30th, and details will be coming out about those if they haven't been sent out shortly. And those reports are the program status report, the NRS performance, and the first quarter expenditure report. After obtaining appropriate signatures, all reports should be sent to Jane Black, and you have the information there. Returned FY18 funds are due to ICCB no later than October 15th. I checked with indication as to which funding stream the money should be applied, should be sent to Sarah E. Robinson, and her information as far as there. A couple of compliance points to remember. Applicants will be required to provide services to a minimum of 150 NRS reportable individuals. And what is meant by 150 NRS reportable individuals are those students who have a minimum of 12 hours of attendance. Those, not the ones that 150 that come into your program who have just 7.5 hours. But these individuals these students must have a minimum of 12 hours of attendance, and it's a minimum of 150 students that each program is required to have. Another reminder is the minimum qualification for all adult education instructors who teach in ABE, ASE, and ESL courses is a BA or BS degree in education or related field, and you can get more information on this in the provider manual. The eligible population to receive adult education funding are students who have attained 16 years of age, are not enrolled or required to be enrolled in a secondary school under state law, are basic skills deficient, and do not have a secondary school diploma or its recognized equivalent level education, or are English language learners. You cannot generate funds on ineligible students. You generate funds in courses taught by unqualified instructors. That's the minimum. Uh, the only instance where this is not required for a teacher to have a minimum of a BA or BS degree is if they're teaching vocational only. But if they're teaching vocational and they're also teaching ABE, ASE in conjunction, they must have a BA, a minimum of a BA or BS degree. Also, I said that I would be reminding everyone each month about data, entering data in DAISY. Programs should ensure that data is entered regularly. Data from a month prior should be entered by the 15th of the month. Now, we've been making that announcement since probably September. I don't know if we did it in August, but I know we have done it last month. James Flaherty and we go in and we look at this data practically every day. And as of yesterday, there were at least 5 programs, and you know who you are if you're on now. There are at least 5 programs in Region 1 who have not entered anything. Now, we understand if you haven't entered any post-testing data, but your students should be entered by now. So please go back and make sure, and don't wait until the quarterly reports are due. We like you to put that data in, if you have it, every month. So at this time, I'm going to present to you the Southern Illinois Professional Development Center, who will be bringing our presentation for the day, Transitions for Intermediate Level Adult Education Students, the critical link between education and careers. Bevan Gibson, the director of the SIPC, will be bringing the presentation.
Good morning. As Ben suggested, we're going to be talking about transitions for intermediate level adult education students today and about the critical link between education and careers. The data indicates that the intermediate level students, both ABE and ESL students, are separating instead of transitioning. And so we're going to look at the link between education and careers today and what we might be able to do. But as we start thinking about that, we need to think about, why are they leaving? Family responsibilities may be one reason. To get a job may be another. They've achieved their education goal. They do not have a goal for the future, and other things. So do you have any thoughts as to why else they might be leaving? And if you do, you could enter it in the chat box as we go on. So, education and career goals. When I first started in adult education, we asked on intake for students to give an education goal and a career goal. They wrote it down, and that was that. With WIOA, we need to connect those two and always include them in our instruction. So I think that as we're moving forward today in this presentation, we'll think about, are you connecting the two? Are you connecting their education with careers in the intermediate level? So let's see about helping students understand that critical link. There are some components that we need to include in our instruction. One is goal setting. We have to begin by helping our students understand this critical link, focusing on goal setting. We focus on career exploration and focusing on career planning. So let's look at this. Our students at the intermediate levels need a little help when it comes to developing what it takes to connect their education to a career. Think, I come here, I'm going to go get a job. But that's not necessarily the case. So as we look at what we can do in our programs and what you guys can do in the programs to help that connect that link. Contextualized basic skills instruction is one. Career pathway basic skills curriculum, evidence-based reading instruction, integrated technology skills, career awareness, and career development. So let's look first at the career pathway basic skills curriculum. You can begin by helping them see the connections by contextualizing basic skills instruction and language instruction. This may be the first time that they can learn about what careers are available to them and what education it takes to get to a place where they can have a career. The Career Pathway Basic Skills curriculum is available on the ICCB website, and it focuses on teaching basic skills to intermediate level students using multiple career pathways. It is designed for the ABE levels 5 to 7 and ESL 5 and 6. It can be used as standalone, or you can use it integrating in what the instruction is being done in your programs. It has various modules that are career awareness, contextualized literature and arts, math, science, and social studies. It is based on the college and career readiness standards as well as our standards. Dawn has looked at those and kind of adjusted those with the and content. Activities and resources are there as well as assessment. So if you've not looked at that, that's one way to help our students start connecting their education with a career. The next piece of that is the evidence-based reading instruction, and I know a lot of our intermediate level programs are using EBRI. And the thing about the EBRI is it can be used because the instructors are using it. The strategies that are there, the EBRI strategies, can be used with appropriate level readings from various career pathways, such as manuals and documents that they might be exposed to in the workplace, as well as the vocabulary from the world of work. For English as a second language learners, they need to know what kinds of language they're going to be using, what kind of vocabulary they're going to be using in the world of work. And they can use the vocabulary strategies for EBRI for that purpose. Next is integrated technology skills. The Illinois Adult Ed Technology Checklist has a list of multiple things, multiple technology skills that our students are going to need to have. The Illinois WorkNet has career exploration activities on it. And so as you're doing that, it's not like we're going to have today we're going to teach technology and the next hour we're going to teach technology, the next hour we're going to teach reading, the next hour we're going to teach language. It doesn't work that way, and it should not work that way. And I think that if we think about why our students are leaving, we need to help them again make that connection. So as we're using technology skills, they can be integrated into the instruction. They can set up an Illinois WorkNet account, and they can have access to career interest inventories. They can have access to the Employment 101 that's on there. They can actually have interest activities that are on that site are multiple. Advancement for career development and career exploration. They have on that site, they actually have a day in the life of a certain career. They can look at that and see what skills are required, what education is required, how much those jobs pay, and that's all part of using their technology skills as well. They can do a career project where they might write resumes using a computer. They can do cover letters, and once again, the Illinois WorkNet has those that information available that they could actually do it on their site. Online technology-related resources for adult educators. We have a lot of that on the Illinois Adult Education Excellence in Adult Ed website as well. And then the next one is career awareness and career development. I think when we think about academic and career plans, as I said at the beginning, we used to say, what is your education goal and what is your career goal? And we would leave it at that. The key, I think, to retaining our students is to get them to link these two together. The Illinois WorkNet, using technology, can do that as part of that. They can write a career plan because it's significant, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But career awareness activities, anything you can do to make it so that they know that their career awareness, all the careers that are available to them, not just ones that they know of, but future work that's out there that may be a possibility in the future. The essential employability skills for Illinois are also something that you could incorporate into the instruction, and your teachers could incorporate into the instruction, as well as job readiness skills. One of the things that employers say is that we can teach them some of the actual training pieces at work, but we need them to show up. We need them to be present, not on their phones, those kinds of things. So that practice that in their classrooms would be great to show them and teach them the connection to the careers. Then we also have training opportunities that are bridge and pre-IET or ICAPS IET related, and then an introduction to college life. If you are in a community college program, and even if you're not, your students, you should take them and let them kind of see what to expect when they go into college life. What's there? I think that it's important to get them to be aware of their future goals, not just their current goals in the intermediate level. We're trying to retain them. So with this, they also need to know themselves. They need to understand what their skills are that they currently have. A lot of our students have some skills. They may not think of them as skills. They may have childcare skills if they have children. They may have skills that they're working in their yard. They may have a plethora of skills and abilities and that they've never thought about. But in a career plan, they think about those and actually write those down. What do they enjoy doing? You want to make sure that you enjoy doing what you're doing, because one of the things about getting a job is keeping a job. And so if you don't like what you're doing, then you're not going to keep that job for very long. So they need to know, what kinds of things do I enjoy doing? Do I like to work alone, or do I like to work in groups? A lot of that's going to depend on a career choice that they pick. Do they like to work with their hands? Do they like to sit down? Do they like to work outdoors? Do they like hot and cold weather? Do they like indoors where it's nice, warm, and cozy? Do I like to sit for long periods of time? How long can I commit to training? I think that this is the key when we think about intermediate level students. They come in, and I think they're leaving a lot of the times because they don't perceive how long it's going to take, and in their minds, they're thinking, this is going to take a very long time for me, because no one has sat down and said, what kind of skills do you already have? What kind of abilities do you have? What kind of career are you looking for going into? And how long will that take? Because it may not take nearly as long as they think. And so ultimately, well, it's going to be up to them. But I think that how long they can commit to training, it is a significant piece of that as to which pathway they choose. And then what's their motivation? How are they going to do that? Why am I wanting to come here? Is someone making me come here? Is someone making it so? Do I want to just come here and learn the language and that's it? Or do I want a job? And I think that with WIOA, our impetus is going to be on seeing to it that they are retained in our programs, that they transition into career pathway programs that ultimately end up in the job market. So if we talk about goal setting, it's important that they set short-term goals, and then that they look out 2 to 5 years from now. A lot of our students don't look at 2 to 5 years from now. They don't look at long-term. I look at my own kids and go, okay, you can do the short-term, but where do you want to be in 2 to 5 years? Because if they leave because they got a job, it may not be the ultimate job that they want. So in the discussions with them, you need to say, okay, in 2 to 5 years, right now you need a job because you need money to pay for bills or whatever. But where are you going to be in 2 to 5 years? Are you still going to be trying to make ends meet? What types of jobs might be available for you if you hung in here and you transitioned up and got into a skill? Maybe you become a welder and it takes you a year to 2 years. If we can get you advanced up into an ICAPS program that's a welding program, that's great. What is realistic? What's challenging but obtainable? There, I think a lot of the times our students come in and they have unrealistic expectations, and therefore they leave because they're not obtaining what they thought that they would get. They came in and they think, I'm going to do this. And then they realize after 6 months to a year, they go, well, I thought I'd be done by now. And I think that we need to be real with them, as well as to deal with what is actually obtainable and what skill sets, how much education is required for them wanting to reach their goal. How will they benefit them? How will their goals benefit them? They need to see, if I set a goal, how's it going to benefit me? If I hang in here, then on Illinois WorkNet, it shows the salaries for various jobs. And you can say, this one pays $7 an hour, and if you hang in here for another year to 2 years, then you're going to earn $25 an hour, which is significant. What will get in my way? What kind of obstacles are there? And that's what they need to, you need to have a frank discussion for that with them as to what kind of obstacles are there in developing a career plan. Not only what's going to get in their way, but how are they going to take care of that? What can they do to actually overcome that? So we're going to look at the requirements for their career sought. What certification is required, and how much education does that take? What is a high school equivalency requirement for the career that they're looking for? Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Physical requirements. Do they have to be able to lift 50 pounds? Do they have to lift 100 pounds? It depends on if you work for UPS or if you work for FedEx. If you work for UPS, you have to lift 50 pounds. If you work for FedEx, you have to lift 100 pounds. So those are the intricate pieces that need to be looked at in terms of what career they're looking at. The licensure needs. Do they have past records? Is that an unrealistic goal? If they say, I want to be a nurse, or I would like to be an LPN, however, I have a drug record. Not going to happen, and it needs to be told to them up front. Reading and writing level. What's required for that? Do they just have to write incident reports, and what's required for that? They can practice that as part of the integrated pieces and contextualized curriculum. They can practice writing incident reports that they might have to if a patient falls. They can practice if there's an accident at work and they have to write up an incident report. Math skills. What math skills are required? There are various career pathways that the math skills are not necessarily something that are high, but in welding, there's a lot of math. And so if the person is having a difficult time with math, they may not want to go down that career pathway. Education training needed. What program of study? Where can they go onto from where they are now? What kinds of programs are available for them? Do you have an ICAPS program, or do you have a program where they can transition into? I think that we just need to have frank discussions as to what training, what future training, what kinds of time we're talking about, and what does it mean to actually hang in there. If I hang in here for another 6 months and I bump up my reading level, then I get to transition into a bridge program that is on manufacturing. Ultimately, my future goal is to be a welder. Then I might go into an ICAPS program that you have, that or someone around you has, or a training program for welding that you've connected to. The timeline is significant because how long this education and training takes versus how long the student can afford to commit. And I think we don't really ask them how long they can commit. We just say, classes start this day, and this is when the classes are. Their finances. Not only their personal budgeting finances, but what can financial aid do for them if they hang in there? Can financial aid benefit them? Because they might see that I don't have the money to pay my bills today. How am I going to afford to go on and take some college programs? And so financial aid may be something that is brought up to them. Their motivation. Is it job advancement? Do they want a higher salary? Or do they just kind of like hang in there and just kind of like going forward? Planning. What is their career plan? Write it down. Research it. And then they need to have room for adjustment. Life happens. Adjustment of goals doesn't mean giving up. And I think it's important that someone says this to our students. Just because you have to adjust, maybe you had a sick child who was in the hospital and you had to to stop out for a little while. It doesn't mean that you don't come back. It doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're taking, life happened and you had to do it. The future comes one day at a time. And Abraham Lincoln said, I'm a slow walker, but I never walk back. So I think that if we preach that to our students, so to speak, or if we at least acknowledge that that's going to be the case for some of them, we won't lose them. They may phase out for a little bit if life happens, and then they'll phase back in. But we have to give them a reason to want to come back, a motivation for wanting to reach their goals. So we'll look at a career plan. And I realize this is kind of small, but there are many other examples that are on the Illinois WorkNet, as well as on the ICAP's website. We have several programs that have career plans that are available if you wanted to go onto the ICAP's website and look at those. Career plans let students start connecting the skills and the qualities that they have to the future. Their personal preferences and their personal values, and any obstacles they may have, most importantly, how they're going to overcome them, and then goals, their short-term, long-term, mid-term, what skills they need to develop for a future job or career, and an action plan, basically. They need to write it down. They need to have a plan, because if they have a plan and it needs to be revisited frequently in your programs through the instructional piece of it, it needs to be revisited. If they write it down, if you write something down, it means something more to you, I think, than if you just say, well, I want to do this. There's no acknowledgement that you have achieved anything if you haven't written it down. And there's nothing better. I'm a list maker. There's nothing better than going, yep, check, check, check. I got those 3 things done. And so if they look at on the Illinois WorkNet and they look at the qualities, first they determine what qualities they have. There are career interest inventories that are on there that they could actually utilize. They need to look at themselves, then they need to look at the jobs that interest them, then they need to write their goals. So it's a process, but nonetheless it needs to be written down, and they need to have a plan. And I think that if they do that, they'll stick with it a little bit more to transition into the future, to transition into what they need to do. Another thing is you need to have some transition and support services in place and available to your intermediate level students. I think we always think about, well, we might need that in the bridge programs, we might need that in the ICAPS programs, but we need it all around. And I know most of you provide childcare, have childcare vouchers, or at least that, and transportation. But we need to talk about, we need to have conversations about balancing education, career, and family. We don't usually bring career into that discussion in our programs. We bring education and family in, but it's important to start bringing careers in, because it's going to happen. They have to find childcare for education as well as for their career. They need to find transportation for education as well as how they're going to get to work. You need to bring in the college financial aid and scheduling. What types of classes work for them? They come into your programs now and they make time for that, or maybe they don't. So what works best for them? If they're going to have a job and go to school, what is their scheduling going to look like? Mentoring. If you have a career navigator, you might, or a transitions coordinator, they should meet with them. Your intermediate level students should meet with them and have them visit one of your ICAPs or one of your bridge training programs or one of your training programs, because they need to see. It makes it real as to this is where I could be. Student support groups or clubs. I think that they need to connect to a cohort of people and say, okay, we're all going to hang in here together. We all know that small groups help someone feel more bonded and hang in there a little bit more, because you have your peers to answer to. Career counseling. Again, the career navigator can help with this. And academic advising. I think we don't do academic advising and we don't do career counseling with our intermediate level students, because we think, well, they're still just working on basic skills or they're working on language instruction. But I think that we need to incorporate career counseling for those students. What types of careers? And if we bring it into them, then it's going to help. If we develop this critical link between education and careers for our students, and in our instruction, it has a lot of benefits for intermediate level students. One of those is focusing on the future is going to aid in retention. Instruction that has enhanced application for deeper understanding and increased interest level is going to help retain those students. If it applies to something that I have said that I want to do, and my goals, my education and career goals, then it's going to increase my interest level because you're actually contextualizing that and you're bringing that into everyday instruction. Counseling helps with career and educational planning and overcoming barriers to success. The exposure to a broad range of jobs and careers and educational opportunities is significant for intermediate level students. They may not know people that have jobs. They may not know people that have jobs that go beyond a $7 an hour job. They may not know what careers are out there. So it's up to us to expose them to that. It gives them some facilitated contacts and connections to the labor market because especially if you use the Illinois WorkNet for technology skills, the labor market information is on there. Where are the jobs in my area? Am I willing to move, or can I take a bus 20 minutes away and have this job be available to me? Will I have to drive 45 minutes to get to a job, or is there something closer? Access to post-secondary occupational education. So access to the ICAPS programs, access to the programs of study that are in the post-secondary realm. Because if they hang in there, they will transition to those bridge programs, to those ICAPS programs, and then hopefully on to post-secondary if they wish, or training. It also gives them a higher earning potential, more than $7 an hour if they hang in, and I think it's significant in the career plan to point that out. There are some additional resources that we have for integrating career awareness and career development into your programs. The NCTN Integrating Career Awareness curriculum is available, and it's on the PD portal, and you can download that and use some of those pieces in terms of integrating career awareness into the ABE, ASE, or ESL classroom. The Illinois Essential Employability Skills Framework and Self-Assessment is also available on the PD portal, and you can look and see what the instructor can take those and look and say, how am I integrating technology or employability skills into what I'm doing? How am I putting employability skills into my instruction? Not that I'm doing it this half hour and next half hour something else, but how am I integrating that into that? As well as the North Carolina Employability Skills Resource Toolkit is also available on the PD portal, and it is a lot of resources. So this is what the ABE ESL Career Awareness Curriculum looks like, and there's a link for that, so you can actually use that to link to it. This, like Ben said, this will be available online later as an archive. And then the Illinois Essential Employability Skills Framework and a self-assessment is there with a printed version, as well as the North Carolina Toolkit link is there as well. There are a number of professional development opportunities available for your intermediate level instructors on the PD portal on the Excellence in Adult Ed website. The iLearn courses will assist them, as well as in helping them to actually incorporate some career awareness and possibly working on resumes, working on those kinds of things. There are a number of professional development opportunities on there that they can use to include that in their intermediate levels. So at this time, I'd like to know if anybody has any questions or any comments.
There was a comment earlier
Okay, Valerie,
when you asked why they leave.
you said that one of the reasons why they leave is immigration policy changes factor in students leaving the programs. And I agree, Valerie, that is one of the reasons why for ESL that a lot of students are leaving. And that there's nothing we can do about that. But it is a good point. It is one of the reasons. Any other comments? Any other questions or comments? I'd be happy to take those. Okay. If not, I'd like to thank you for your attention. And if you have not already begun focusing on career pathway instruction for your intermediate level students, or if you have, and it's critical for this level to link education and careers to allow retention and ultimate success for these students. So at this time, we're going to be doing some announcements from the service centers. And Laura Sherwood, we'll let you start from the ALRC. No, Ben.
Thank you, Bevan. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that wonderful presentation, Bevan. And as Bevan said, either today or tomorrow, but soon, the presentation will be, this entire webinar will be posted at the Adult Ed website, and so you can go back to there as much as you would like to hear the presentation again. I have one announcement from ICCB per Ben McDaniel. There's a Daisy Fall Tour that will start this month, going to the tour will be presented on Daisy in about 8 different locations, as you can see on the screen. We'll be at the Kankakee Community College on the 17th of this month, Malcolm X College on the 18th, College of DuPage on the 19th, Joliet Junior College on the 23rd, College of Lake County on the 24th, College on the 25th, John A. Logan College on the 29th, and Lewis and Clark College on the 30th. Although the time is not posted, the Daisy training will start at 9 o'clock, and it will go into about 3:30. It'll be broken off into 2 separate sessions, and ICCB will be sending out more information about those trainings soon. Okay, at this time, we have, one of the wonderful things about October Adult Education Administrators Meeting webinar is that we have all 3 of the service centers on today, and they have some important announcements to make. So at this time, I'd like to present to you the Dirt Learning Resource Center. Laura Sherwood will be bringing some announcements.
Good morning, everyone, from the ALRC. I just have a few announcements for you this morning, so next slide, please. We are busy planning our Northern Region Adult Education Conference. That will be on Friday, November 30th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. That is the same location that we were at last year. We have our featured speakers lined up, and we wanted to let you know who is coming so you can plan accordingly. One of our speakers is Susan Roberts from SCR Consulting. She is a trainer, teacher, and author with many years of adult ed instructional leadership and curriculum experience. And Susan will be presenting 3 workshops on building literacy skills for life, soft skills in the ABE ASE classroom, and understanding those key math shifts through the TABE 11-12. Our next speaker is another Susan Gayer, and she has been an ESL teacher for more than 30 years and has taught all levels of classes. She's an avid user of technology as well as a certified Google instructor. And she's also been a series consultant for Pearson's Project Success, which I know some of you are using. She will be presenting employability for ESL learners, tools to boost rigor in ESL reading instruction, and using students' mobile devices in the ESL classroom. And of course, we will have Jamil Steele, the Senior Director of Adult Ed and Family Literacy. He will open the conference with a state and federal update. We can go to the next slide. Thank you. Registration is open on the website. If you go out to thecenterweb.org and then follow through to the links for the ALRC, you can get to the registration form. You can fill that out and do it online, or you can print out the forms and then send it to us by email or snail mail. And the registration deadline is November 16th. So you've got a little bit of time to get those registrations in. And next, please. And then we just want to invite you to follow us on Twitter for a variety of timely and interesting readings and resources. We are out there at, our handle is @ALRC_Illinois. We'd love to see you out on Twitter. And back to you, Ben.
Thank you, Laura. I just want to remind everybody again, as I said earlier about just to dovetail on what Laura just said about the conference on the 30th of November. The administrators meeting is the day before from 1 o'clock until 4. The next day is for all staff, but especially for your teachers. If you've never been to the fall conference, Region 1, if you're administrators, coordinators, and managers, this is a wonderful day and wonderful opportunity for your teachers to participate. Bring them all if you can. I know you probably can't do that, but because of the size of your programs. But this is a time for your teachers to participate in the conference. And of course, we would like for you to be there too. So come, stay overnight, and have a wonderful conference. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dawn Hughes with the Central Illinois Adult Education Service Center, who will be bringing some announcements. Dawn?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ben. We have just a few announcements from our center. The first one is regarding TABE 1112. As many of you know, all of the resources, including order forms, are located on the ICCB's website. So if you go to adult education and then you click on professional development, you will see all of those items listed towards the top. The next order that we will be placing with DRC, actually, if you could go, thank you. We will be placing with DRC in mid-October. So the next TABE order, if you're interested in ordering, is due on October the 10th, which is next week. We are only going to be placing one more order after that before the end of 2018. And that order will be placed mid to late November. So if you have not ordered your TABE 1112 yet, we would encourage you to get your order together. And if you have questions, to reach out to us. And if you do have any questions regarding TABE, you can see on this slide that there is an email account just for those questions. So any questions regarding TABE can be addressed to that email address. Also, a reminder that the TABE 1112 trainings are mandatory and ongoing. Those trainings are mandatory for all ABE, ASE instructors and program administrators. They must take a 1-hour iLearn course. And then anyone who administers the TABE 1112 test in your program must take the prerequisite 1-hour course and attend a live webinar. So the flyer that you see on the screen right now is, you can access that through ICCB's website underneath the resource tab. And the link for the webinar is on the flyer. As you can see, the arrow is pointing to the bottom right-hand corner. And then finally, just a quick note about the ABE ASE Standards Proficient Training Series. The application for fall is now closed. We are getting ready to start those trainings in the next week or so. But we have posted the dates and locations for the spring 2019. And you can see that that information is also on your slide. So if you want more information and all the details, that is located on the excellenceinadulted.com website. And once you go there, you would click on the professional development portal. And finally, the application for ABE ASE specialist training is also now closed for the fall because we're getting ready to start those trainings. But the dates and locations for spring has been released. We will be at Waubonsie Community College in Aurora, Illinois in the spring, and also in Springfield, Illinois. And again, if you want more details and all the dates and times, you can find that on the PD portal on the Excellence website. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. And I'd like to take it back to Bevan and her group for their announcements.
Thanks, Ben. Actually, this is Sarah Goldammer. Happy to be here with Bevan Gibson at the Southern Illinois Professional Development Center. We have a couple of items to highlight for you. One is, hopefully you've already heard about this, but there is a new special learning needs training opportunity. We've had the Institute to Credential Special Learning Needs Resource Specialist, which has been going on for a long time in the state, but we have a newly created Foundations of Special Learning Needs, and this focuses, as the Institute, it's very student-centered training. And it focuses on informal assessments, instructional strategies to address special learning needs, and effective instructional practices for all. So it's a shortened training. It takes some of the components of the Institute. The Institute's a little more intensive. So this was created to be a little bit similar to the content standards in the amount of time, the duration, and the amount of intensity level. So that's why we created this, to kind of mirror that type of training. It's a hybrid training, which will meet once in person for a half day, and then 2 online training components with application exercises. So we're about ready to start, but we are willing to take additional people if there's still some folks that are interested. So you'll see that middle one at Lincoln Land is meeting for the first time, or the only time they're going to meet in person, a week from Friday, October 12th, and there's some, but they can still get in. And then we'll be meeting a northern section at Puitech and on Friday, October 19th. Now, they would come to either one or the other, not both of those. So I do need to hear from folks like today or tomorrow, very soon, if you're interested, but I will absolutely work with people to get their assignments completed and to start up. So Dawn was talking about the professional pathways. This would be part of the beginning for a special learning needs specialist. So just to let you know, that is part of the pathway training. And that's what we have for you.
Sarah, at this time, I'd like to take general questions. If anybody has any questions, you can send them through, be unmuted, or in the chat box. No one? Zoom through here. Okay. All right. Then our next Region 1 monthly administrators meeting is Tuesday, November 6th at 10 o'clock a.m. And at that time, we'll be looking forward to seeing you. Remember, this session, this webinar is being recorded, I should say, and will be posted at the excellenceandadulted.com website for your review. And you can go back and look at that as much as you can. If you missed the August sessions, you can look at those. If you missed September, you can look at those. But this will be posted soon. Okay, please contact your regional support specialist with any topics or issues you would like covered in a future virtual regional administrators meeting. As I said in the past, I think I said it in September, if you have any topics or issues, you're not required to present them, but it would be good for conversation and discussion. And I will be presenting those for Region 1 and 3, and James for Regions 2 and 4. And I'll make another announcement, another request if you have any questions. If not,
Ben,
Ben?
could you mention one more time where they can find the archived meetings?
Yes, it's at the Excellence in Adult Ed, excellenceandadulted.com.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. And we'll see you or hear from you at the November 6th Regional Administrators Meeting. Have a great day and a great week. Bye-bye.